very well in the short term. In the short term, they really work. The problem is in the long term, they're mostly disastrous.
Following from used drugs and health devices that were invented in the medical field to cure human ailments.
Eisenhower warned the American people about the medical industrial complex. He warned that if we allow private industry to control, monopolize, and profiteer off of health and healthcare, that they will silo innovation, stifle innovation, and capitalize and monetize innovation. Time and time again, when Big Pharma has had an opportunity to choose left or right, over and over again, they have chose profits over patient outcome.
It's been decades and have seen and heard of evil inventions that seek to completely destroy humanity.
Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. People growing up with all kinds of ailments, all kinds of problems.
One ailment that has invaded the world of some people is high blood pressure. In the pursuit of preventing this ailment, the world has been sold to the idea of owning a blood pressure gauge.
A blood pressure gauge, also known as a sphygmomanometer, is a device used to measure the pressure of blood in the arteries. It typically consists of an inflatable cuff that is wrapped around the arm and a measuring unit that indicates pressure readings.
The dawn of blood pressure monitoring takes us back to the 19th and the early 20th century. The device that changed our understanding of cardiac health was the sphygmomanometer, an instrument initially created by Samuel Siegfried Karl Richter von Bosch in 1881. But it wasn't until the work of Dr. Simone Rivarocci in 1896 that the concept took the form we are familiar with today. Dr. Rivarocci's version introduced an inflatable cuff which would be wrapped around the patient's arm. The cuff would constrict the blood flow, and as the pressure slowly released, the point at which blood stopped flowing again would give an approximation of the systolic blood pressure. Then in 1905, the process was refined by Dr. Nikolai Koprokov, a Russian physician. He discovered that by placing a stethoscope on the arm below the cuff, distinctive sounds could be heard as the pressure in the cuff was released. These Koprokov sounds represented the systolic and diastolic blood pressure values. Two numbers associated with blood pressure readings today.
One of the things that we're going to about the blood pressure gauge. Is it fake?
Was considered the gold standard for measuring temperature and blood pressure, sphygmomanometers quietly hid a toxic secret. These plastic glass instruments used in hospitals for decades bombed mercury, a heavy metal known for its composition and devastating health risks. Even a small spill could release mercury vapors, leading to neurological damage, kidney failure, or respiratory distress in both patients and healthcare workers. Accidental breakages were common, and proper cleanup required hazmat-level precautions. As the dangers of the mercury exposure became fully recognized, especially in the clinical environment, international health agencies were strict with their information. But it led to an 18th century digital and narrow alternatives.
The way that we treat blood pressure is a scandal of epic proportions. And the chances are that you or someone you love is in a circumstance where their blood pressure is being way overtreated. It's such a massive scandal which is really universal across hospitals. Doctors and the people with medicine are stuck in a mindset of medicine good, and there's just a total lack of common sense.
Today, more than 70% of high blood pressure drugs are prescribed by general physicians. And how is this accomplished? Fear marketing.
It's about creating a good story that uses science that convinces the physician to think about whether prescriptions.
This is not science. This is incredibly effective marketing. It has nothing to do with science.
They use what I call statistical contortionism. Basically, see the numbers, make everything look
Everything that we've known about is only in the plot. And so what happens is you try to set everybody with something you cannot achieve and then medicate you.
When set the criteria for high blood pressure was 160 over 90. That's when the doctor started talking to you about high blood pressure and whether you should take medications. But another method of knowing if you had high blood pressure, especially as you got older, was the systolic number had to be 100 plus your age. So if you were 70 years old, it was perfectly acceptable to have your blood pressure 170 over something. As long as it was lower than that, everything was okay. And somehow, 20 years ago, send them out to their primary care doctor and have them take medication. But in 2017, something happened. That is, a study came out that said people's blood pressure should be lower than 120 over 80. And that is a pretty lofty goal. That is very low, such that almost anyone has that. When you go to a doctor's office in the middle of the day, you already have stress or stress of being there. You've been waiting in the waiting room too long. You probably had coffee or some type of food prior to that appointment. Then they rush you into the room, usually put the blood pressure cuff off over a number of clothing. As you're taking there, after asking questions, there's a whole host of reasons why your blood pressure is going to be above 120 over 80. If you are above 120 over 80 now, you're going to get talking to. You're going to get a little spanking, a little tap on the wrist. The doctor's going to talk to you. If you're above 130 over 80, now that's the criteria for medication. Is this simply corporate relief for pharmaceutical companies? The lower the margins so low that almost no one can pass, and thus every one of us should be on blood pressure medication.
You have to understand that the strategy of the enemy is to destroy with fear and deception. Those are the two things that the Bible shows us about him. He's using in this power, fear and deception.
Another wind of deception, fomented with this blood pressure, is how its users unknowingly become lifetime customers of exorbitantly priced high blood pressure drugs.
The drugs don't cure. They make you a lifetime customer. drugs for maintaining blood pressure is lifetime. You'll never be weaned out of it. It's for all your life.
85% of all high blood pressure diagnoses, 85%, are what we call idiopathic, meaning they're of unknown origin. So you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you got high blood pressure. Well, what's wrong? Well, your EKG is normal, your EEG is normal, your heart and lung sounds are normal, your dye contrast study is normal, your cardiac catheterization is normal. We tested your heart every which way we could. There's nothing wrong with your heart. We're still going to medicate your heart anyway. You're going to get beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, diuretic.
So you just become another customer. They're ever expanding their business. You have homes where father, mother, every child in the family, all of them have blood pressure problems. So they're all customers.
Even though we don't know what's wrong, we're still going to give you medication. You're going to be on this for the rest of your life. Well, then why do I have it? Well, because your father had it or your grandmother had it. That's patently false. But if I convince you, if I can get you to buy off on the fact that you have a disease, then I can get you to buy off on the fact that you need a lifetime medication.
Stunning as it may sound, nearly half of Americans aged 20 and over, or more than 122 million people, have high blood pressure, according to a 2023 report from the American Heart Association. Well, let's unpack that. The American Heart Association. Who pays a lot of the money, sponsors their conventions, their meetings, and all that? Who's doing that? Is it the attendees? I mean, if you pay $500 to go to a conference, is that actually enough money to cover the expense of renting a fancy hotel or whatever? No, it's not. Usually you get big sponsors, and usually the big sponsors are pharmaceutical companies. And the pharmaceutical companies that are going to sponsor a cardiology conference are going to be pharmaceutical companies that have cardiology products, so that they can hopefully get some good press about their products in front of the cardiologists. Because make no mistake about it, the cardiologists lead the way in terms of treating blood pressure, and it trickles down to all the lesser knowns, the internal medicine doctors, the family doctors, the endocrinologists, but the lead is the cardiologist. So if Big Pharma can really recruit the cardiologists into their way of thinking, then they've got something going for them strongly. Here's a little ditty, recent, from Pfizer. This was on one of their pages. It says here, the American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, and 9 other professional health organizations updated the blood pressure guidelines based on their review of over 900 studies. Wow, 900 studies, all these fancy organizations. This must be the Word of God right alongside the 10 Commandments that came down on the mountain, right? Okay, what does this say? Blood pressure categories in the new guidelines are, what is normal blood pressure? It's 120 over 80. If you're not 120 or over 80 or less, you're not normal. You're elevated. You're either elevated or you have hypertension or whatever. So who's putting this out? Pfizer. This is a big deal. Pfizer gets this kind of information from the cardiology convention that they sponsored, and they grab onto that and they put it out there. And then they get the cardiology associations and the hospital associations to put it out there so that it becomes a thing.
Imagine this shock that hypertension drugs achieved a revenue of $36.7 billion in 2024. That's in 1 year. Blood pressure medications don't treat the root cause, and they inflict grave side effects, resulting in more pills prescribed and negative side effects. And I know this because I've been on this medication, and the side effects were killing me. From rashes that wouldn't go away to being itchy. It was affecting just everything. And so then I had to get medicines for the rash that broke out on me. And the prescription medicine was, I can't even tell you how much. It was so expensive. So Big Pharma makes more profit for each additional medication for the side effects.
This is deception at the global scale.
You've got to stay awake. We have articles that come out in highly regarded journals that say, don't start a person with high blood pressure on just one med. Start them on 2 right away. Really? Really? I don't know. It just seems to me that Big Pharma is having its way with medicine. They pay for the studies. They pay for the cost of getting the studies promulgated. They pay for our conventions. They buy us lunch, dinner, and all that jazz. And I think the way we do is one of the reasons. I think you folks out there with common sense and everyday thinking, I think you get it. I think you understand that without meaning to, doctors have almost become a marketing arm for pharmaceuticals. And then you put the pharmaceutical ads on TV and they hammer at us while we're watching the football game or a Hallmark movie at Christmas. And boy, we think, well, maybe that medicine could help me. Maybe I wouldn't have name block anymore and I could go to a cocktail party and not forget anybody's name. That'd be pretty cool. If you're not going to get in the arena and be your own champion on healthcare or help someone else out like your grandpa or your mom or whatever, I think you might be making a huge mistake. We got to watch this with the medicines.
I do have to ask, where are the doctors who see the damage in the patients to whom they prescribed these terrible, toxic drugs? They see the damage, or should see. Where are the public officials who are supposed to look out for the public good, the public's best interest, not the pharmaceutical industry's profit margins? Where is the academy? Where are the professional organizations? We're talking about elite physicians in the most highly civilized Western world. They're all now part of a concerted effort to market the drugs, to increase sales, no matter what.
Doctors will just say, oh, you have hypertension, we need to lower it. I mean, it's so ridiculous. At this stage, that the fact that they still talk like this it's beyond ignorance. Like, it's willful ignorance, because there's so much material what's happening with the blood of why the pressure would go up, right? That it's for anybody who talks like that, it's like dinosaur and dinosaur, whatever, ancient like thinking. Okay, it's like embarrassing at this point. So that's why you get these poor elders, instead of enjoying their retirement years, as they say, right? They're on all these drugs that dull them down. They can't remember things. They can't think clearly. Then they're a danger to themselves or others. They lose their driver's licenses and off they go to a nursing home, right, to die alone. Like, it's a travesty that we medicate these conditions, which are normal adaptations, and we do not educate, or they do not educate their patients as to why, the root causes of why those things are happening. The whole idea of, like, the hypertension being a scary problem that has to be mitigated, that whole idea is just Rockefeller medicine bullcrap. So hypertension, it does not need medication, it needs education.
A lot of people who were told that the blood pressure is too high, it's too low, didn't have problems. They were very normal until the drugs came. The drugs they told them to take. It's those drugs that damage their systems to make them forever dependent. Those are the things that need the effect of drugs. Is what they need to kill from. Not what was said to be the original problem.
The kidneys are the first thing to go. It's really taking the blood pressure medicines that's causing the kidney failure, in addition to probably some other poisons. And I've worked with a couple of clients to reverse their kidney failure. Even one got off dialysis, and the first thing I did was get off those blood pressure medicines.
Some of the most popular generic blood pressure medications on the market recalled over and over 45 times in less than a year. Certain batches of valsartan, losartan, and irbesartan. I was really shocked. Last summer, Denise Schreck got a chilling letter from her pharmacist. The impurity has been classified as a probable human carcinogen. Her blood pressure medicine, one she takes daily, was tainted with a chemical linked to cancer. Formerly used in the production of rocket fuel. In my medicine.
This is tragic and it's deeply concerning.
So, God
if